7 ways rich people make money with debt. The banks won't tell you this. If I told you the richest people on earth actually love debt, would you think I'd accidentally swallowed a finance textbook? Most of us hear one thing growing up. Debt is bad. Stay away from it. And honestly, that's pretty good advice. If you're using debt to buy sneakers you'll wear twice, a phone you'll replace next year, or a car that loses value faster than your New Year's resolutions. But the wealthy, they use debt like a power tool, not a toy. Today we're looking at 7 ways rich people use debt to build wealth, what actually works in the real world, and why copying only half their strategy can leave you broke with an expensive lesson. Let's get into it. 1. They buy assets, not liabilities. Here's the first secret. Rich people borrow money to buy things that make money. Average people borrow money to buy things that cost money. See the difference? Imagine 2 people each borrow $100,000. Person A buys a luxury SUV. Person B buys a rental property. 5 years later, the SUV has depreciated. The rental property has generated rent, appreciated in value, and somebody else has probably been paying the mortgage. Debt itself isn't good or bad. What matters is, does the asset produce more cash than the debt costs? That's called positive leverage. And when it works, debt becomes an employee instead of a bill. 2. They let other people repay their loans. This is probably my favorite. Imagine borrowing money to buy an apartment. And then your tenant pays the mortgage every month. That's like ordering pizza and having your neighbor accidentally pay the delivery guy. Obviously, real estate isn't always that easy. Vacancies happen. Repairs happen. Sometimes tenants decide the walls are better decorated with crayons. But the principle remains. Rich investors love assets where someone else's payments gradually eliminate their debt. Number 3. They borrow against investments instead of selling them. Here's something many wealthy people do. Let's say someone owns millions in stocks. Instead of selling shares and paying capital gains tax, they borrow against the portfolio. Why? Because selling triggers taxes. Borrowing often doesn't. Meanwhile, the investments may continue growing. This strategy is common among ultra-high net worth individuals. But here's the important part. It's also risky. If markets fall dramatically, lenders can demand additional collateral or force sales. This isn't magic. It's a sophisticated strategy that requires substantial assets and careful risk management. Number 4. They use cheap debt to control expensive assets. Let's say you want to buy $1 million building. Do you need $1 million? Not necessarily. Maybe you put down 20%. The bank finances the rest. If the property appreciates by 10%, you didn't earn 10% on your own cash. Your return on the money you invested can be much higher because you're controlling a larger asset with borrowed money. That's leverage. Leverage is like hot sauce. A little adds flavor. Too much and suddenly everyone's crying. Number 5. They use business debt to grow faster. Businesses use debt all the time. Imagine a bakery. It has 1 oven. Business is booming. The owner borrows money for 2 more ovens. Now production triples. Sales increase. Profits increase. The loan gets repaid from the additional income. Debt helped the business grow faster than saving cash for years. Of course, if sales don't increase, now you've got 3 ovens. And 1 customer. Timing matters. Number 6. They understand good debt versus bad debt. Here's where many people get confused. Rich people don't love all debt. They love productive debt. Good debt usually helps generate income or appreciate in value. Examples include investment properties, business loans, productive equipment, carefully managed investment financing. Bad debt usually funds consumption. Think credit card shopping, luxury vacations, designer clothes, gadgets you couldn't really afford. The wealthy ask one question before borrowing. Will this debt put money into my pocket or take money out? Simple. Powerful. Life-changing. Number 7. They always have an exit plan. This might be the biggest secret of all. Rich people don't borrow and hope. They borrow with a plan. They know how they'll repay the loan, what happens if interest rates rise, how much cash they'll keep in reserve, and when they'll walk away. Average investors often plan for success. Professional investors also plan for failure. That's why many wealthy people survive recessions while others disappear. So, is debt the secret to becoming rich? No. Smart use of debt is. Debt is like electricity. Used properly, it powers entire cities. Used carelessly, well, let's just say you'll have a shocking experience. Remember, rich people don't get wealthy because they owe money. They get wealthy because they use borrowed money to acquire assets that produce more value than the debt costs. That's the real lesson. Not borrow more, but borrow smarter. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe to Wealth Without Tears, and turn on notifications. Every week we break down personal finance, investing, and wealth building in plain English, with no hype, no jargon, and definitely no tears. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.